Hello, my name is Alicia Johnson. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I am a white woman in my late 30s with light brown shoulder-length hair. I'm wearing a green shirt and sitting in an office space. I am the Director of Civil Rights and Inclusion at Metro Transit. In my role, I also serve as Metro's ADA Coordinator and Title VI Coordinator. In this presentation, I will provide an overview of Metro services and review 4 topics: a proposed revision to a MOBY service policy, Metro's Title VI program plan, including the major service change policy and language assistance options, MetroFlex, and UMO. After each topic, I will pause for a maximum of 3 minutes for questions or comments about that topic before moving on to the next topic. Any remaining meeting time after all topics have been presented will be an open comment period. Comments may also be submitted through the online comment form available at ometro.com/July 2025, which that link has been posted in the chat. Slide 2, Metro's mission. Metro connects people, places, and opportunities through quality transit services. On this slide, there is a picture of the Orbit station at 19th and Douglas with an Orbit bus pulling up to the station. A Heartland bike share dock station is in the forefront of the picture. In the background, you can see the U.S. Federal Building along with a few skyscrapers in downtown Omaha. Slide 3, Metro services. We plan, build, and operate public transit. Metro services include rapid transit, known as Orbit, fixed route, microtransit, and paratransit. Microtransit is the newest Metro service and will be launched soon as MetroFlex. Paratransit, known as MOBY, is a service restricted to individuals with disabilities who have functional limitations that prevent them from accessing fixed route bus service at least some of the time. On this slide, there's a series of 4 pictures next to each other. From left to right, picture 1 is of a large orange Orbit bus near Midtown Omaha under the text Rapid Transit. The Orbit logo is under the photo. Picture 2 is a 40-foot bus in front of skyscrapers in downtown Omaha under the text Fixed Route. The Metro logo is under the photo. Picture 3 is a conceptual graphic of the microtransit passenger van. The van base is gray with teal and pink speckles and teal and pink accents. The MetroFlex logo is under the graphic. Powered by VIA is on the rear driver's side window. Picture 4 is a picture of a MOBY paratransit van under the text Paratransit. The MOBY logo is under the photo. Slide 4, MOBY wait period, slide 1 of 3. The wait period is the maximum amount of time a MOBY driver will wait for a rider to come to the vehicle once they arrive at the pickup location within the pickup window. The current policy is that MOBY drivers wait up to 10 minutes for a rider to come to the vehicle once the driver arrives within the pickup window. Metro is proposing to revise the policy so that MOBY drivers wait up to 5 minutes for a rider to come to the vehicle once the driver arrives within the pickup window. Please note that the 5 minutes does not include boarding time. MOBY wait period, slide 2 of 3. Why is Metro proposing this change? The reduced waiting period will improve the reliability of MOBY service for riders and align Metro with the industry standard of 5 minutes. Slide 6, MOBY wait period, slide 3 of 3. Metro reviewed the paratransit vehicle wait period for comparable agencies and found they all have a 5-minute wait policy. On the slide, there's an image with an outline of the states of Minnesota, Iowa, Nebraska, and Missouri with lines to comparable agencies with a 5-minute wait policy within each state. The cities include Minneapolis, Minnesota, Des Moines, Iowa, Council Bluffs, Iowa, Lincoln, Nebraska, and Kansas City, Missouri. I will now pause for up to 3 minutes for comments or questions specific to the MOBY wait period.
Hello, my name is Maida. I'm a MOBY user. So I came to this meeting today specifically regarding this issue. I can understand that MOBY is trying to make services more reliable, and I can also see why they're comparing themselves to similar services regionally. My main concern with this is that there are many times when for example, for myself, I work in a larger building, and part of the reason that I qualify for MOBY is because I'm blind, and so I'm kind of in a building further back in a room, and I don't always know exactly when the MOBY has arrived, and have to keep going and checking, um, and I can't see out the window, like if MOBY is there or not. It's really hard to tell for me. And so this is just one example. Obviously, it's not just me with my specific circumstances, but the only way that I think it's fair to limit this length of time that the bus is going to wait is if we install some sort of way to let people know when their ride is here in like an alert system. So for now, we're getting these text messages that tell us that the driver's on their way, but that text only comes in like at the beginning of the 30-minute window that our driver could come. So for instance, like when I get off work, it's 5 to 5:30 p.m. And so that driver could come anytime within that window. And I'll get a text like 5 minutes before 5 p.m., but they could show up at 5:25, 5:28, whatever. And so then we're waiting this whole time, not knowing when they're actually arriving. And there's no alert for when they're actually there, or there in 1 minute. So sometimes I find myself having to call the customer service number to talk to agents who aren't even here in town. They're pretty much all, if not all, are outside of the state working remotely and don't know anything about our city or what's going on here. I have to call them, wait on hold to ask them, can you tell me if my ride is here? How long or how far away is my ride? And some of them will even refuse to tell me how far away it is. They'll say something like, well, you're still within your 30-minute window, so you just need to wait. They don't understand that I can't see whether or not the driver is there. So I've worked with the MOBY manager about this, and for my specific case, and we tried to set up a system where drivers will come inside to let me know that they're here. But the problem is, again, I work in a building that's really like pretty big, and I'm not sitting at the front of the building. The people who work up front, they may or may not know who I am or where I'm located. Like it's just different people who work at the front desk. And regardless, even outside my unique situation, I just think it's only equitable for a variety of reasons, whether it's blindness or any other disability. It's only equitable that they make this change if they create some sort of system where riders can know that the driver has arrived outside in some sort of electronic notification versus just having to constantly be checking, are they there, are they not there? Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comment. We do understand that one of the main limitations of paratransit service is that there is a 30-minute wait period that the rider is asked to be ready for when the vehicle arrives. We are exploring options for electronic notification systems, but that would be a future implementation. We will put in the chat a link to the reasonable modification form, which can be used for either fixed route or paratransit service to make specific accommodations for individuals. So it sounds like you have done that by working with the MOBY manager, but we can also do that through this form for anybody who would like to make a request to revise the policy or to set up specific circumstances for themselves. And similar, Mickey asked, if you lower the wait time down to 5 minutes, have you considered the van text message system that makes it difficult for someone to know when their MOBY will arrive? Yes, that is a feature of the software that we currently use. And as I mentioned, we are exploring in the future the ability to add additional options for notification of the vehicle arriving. In the meantime, I would encourage individuals to consider submitting a reasonable modification request so that we can work out a specific solution for each rider, such as coming to the door or another alternative.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, I'm Megan. Sounds like I am the third blind person on the meeting. So I was wondering if you're shortening the wait time that you guys wait for us, would it be possible for you to shorten the time that we spend waiting for you guys? Or that, like, would we say, like, yeah, we'd be willing to maybe stand outside for 15 straight minutes if the wait time was shorter, asking people to wait outside for a half an hour is kind of a long time, especially like in certain weather, or if you could be inside getting paid while you're working versus just standing outside. I understand like wanting to make it more efficient, but you're also, we are taking giant chunks out of our day waiting and then riding around. So would there ever be a swap where, we could be ready faster, but you guys would narrow down the time that we'd be standing outside waiting?
Thank you so much for your comment. That is something we can look into. The 30-minute window is the standard set forth by the Federal Transit Administration. So that is the guidance that we do follow. And it's reflective of the nature of the service and the dynamic routing that happens as trips get added or removed throughout the day. But that's something that we will certainly look into and document in terms of our feedback. Okay, we can come back to questions or comments at the end if additional individuals would like to share feedback on this topic. We will now move on to Title VI. So we are on slide 7, Title VI, Major Service Change Policy, slide 1 of 2. As a recipient of federal funding, Metro is required to establish a Title VI program plan. Title VI is part of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, as amended, and established that no person in the United States shall, on the ground of race, color, or national origin, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. Metro is currently updating its Title VI program plan to submit to the Federal Transit Administration for review. The Federal Transit Agency requires Metro to submit an updated plan every 4 federal fiscal years. One major component of Metro's Title VI program plan is the major service change policy. The purpose of our major service change policy is to define thresholds for determining major service changes and whether potential changes to existing transit services will have adverse effects. Potential changes are evaluated for disparate impact based on race, color, or national origin, and disproportionate burden on low-income populations. Slide 8, Title 6, Major Service Change Policy, Slide 2 of 2. Metro's current major service change policy goes into effect when there is an addition and/or elimination of a bus route, a 10% or more addition or reduction in system revenue miles, and/or a 15% or more addition or reduction in revenue miles on any individual route. And this is specific to the fixed route, but the service area for MOBY or paratransit is reflects the fixed route system. If any proposed service changes meet or exceed these thresholds, Metro conducts a Title VI review to assess for disparate impact and disproportionate burden. Disparate impact is when the impact of any fare or major service change requires a racial minority population to bear adverse effects 15% or greater of a cumulative impact compared to those adverse effects borne by the non-minority population. Disproportionate burden is if any fare or major service change requires a low-income population to bear adverse effects 15% or greater of the cumulative burden compared to the effects borne by the non-low-income population. If either a disparate impact or disproportionate burden results from the Title VI analysis, Metro identifies possible mitigation strategies. Metro's Board of Directors provides final approval of any major service change. Slide 9, Language Assistance, Slide 1 of 3. To prevent discrimination on the basis of national origin as part of Title VI, Metro provides language assistance to individuals with limited English proficiency. At minimum, Metro must provide vital documents in English and Spanish based on the Omaha population. Whenever possible, Metro provides material in additional languages. Metro works closely with refugee resettlement agencies to understand which languages are commonly spoken by those they serve. Metro has several digital resources available to riders in multiple languages. Metro's website can be translated using Google Translate. The UMO app, used for fare payment and trip planning, is available in English, Spanish, and French. MyRide OMA, used for trip planning and real-time arrival information on the fixed route, is available in English and Spanish for both the app and website browser versions. Slide 10, Language Assistance, Slide 2 of 3. Metro has printed and downloadable information about MyRide OMA and UMO available in Arabic, Burmese, Farsi, French, Karen, Karenni, Kinyarwanda, Pashto, Somali, Spanish, Swahili, and Ukrainian. The MOBY application, MOBY Rider Guide, Metro's Half Fare Program application, and non-discrimination complaint form are all available in English and Spanish. Slide 11, language assistance, slide 3 of 3. Metro's customer service has English and Spanish speaking agents always available. Customer service representatives can add an interpreter to the call to provide support in additional languages. Metro's current Title VI program plan, submitted in 2022, is available for review at ometro.com/civil rights. The updated program plan will be posted for review on the same page, and the link has been provided in the chat. I will now pause for up to 3 minutes for comments or questions specific to Metro's Title VI plan, including the major service change policy and available language assistance. I'm not seeing any questions in the chat or anybody unmuting, so we will go forward and we can always return to questions at the end. On this slide, so we are in slide 12, Metro Service Area Map. On this slide, there's an aerial map of the greater Omaha region displaying Metro routes, weekday peak MOBY service area, and the 3 MetroFlex zones. MetroFlex is the name of the pilot microtransit service. Metro has contracted with VIA to operate this service. The pilot is generously funded by local philanthropic donors. There will be 3 MetroFlex zones to connect riders to other Metro services. The North MetroFlex zone covers the area north to south from I-680 to Cumming Street, and east to west, 9th Street to 52nd Street. As part of the North Zone, riders may also request a pickup or drop-off at the 33rd and Dodge Orbit Station, the Open Door Mission, and Epley Airfield. The North Omaha Transit Center is within the North Zone. The South MetroFlex Zone extends north to south from Interstate 80 to Harrison Street, and east to west from 13th Street to 72nd Street. The South Zone does extend to Bergen Mercy Medical Center and Exarban Village. The Exarban Transit Center and MCC South Transit Center are both in the South Zone. The West MetroFlex Zone will extend north to south from Maple Street to Center Street, and east to west from 102nd Street and I-680 to 144th Street. It will encompass both Oakview Mall and Westroads Mall. The Westroads Transit Center is in the West Zone. MetroFlex hours will be Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 9 p.m., 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., and Sunday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Metro is currently finalizing the launch date. The Metro Board of Directors will consider a $3 fare for MetroFlex at their July board meeting. Transfers to the fixed route system will be included in the $3 fare. Riders will be able to pay through the VIA app or with UMO. Additional information about MetroFlex will be released closer to the launch date. I will now pause for up to 3 minutes for comments or questions specific to MetroFlex.
Hey, this is Mickey. So I'm just really kind of confused in terms of how this would work in terms of practical terms. I mean, if it's hard enough sometimes to find a bus stop, essentially I'd be requesting a bus where there's no bus in that area, or can you explain more details in terms of how that would actually work?
Certainly. So it will be an on-demand service. So it will be same day, and it will be you will be able to request a trip, similar to if you have ever used apps like Uber or Lyft. And so it will be up to about 30 minutes in advance is when you can see or request a trip. And so it will pick you up at the closest corner to the nearest intersection. And so it will not be door-to-door service, but it will be a little bit closer and help people get access to our routes or other services.
So my name is Karina. I'm a community health worker. It was just to clarify. So what they would be doing would be essentially picking up somebody to get them closer to a bus route. Is that they wouldn't be taking them to like the store or the doctor's office? Is that what I'm understanding?
If the store or the doctor's office is within the zone, then it could take them to that location. And so you can travel within the zone, within the respective zone. So if you're in the West Zone, you can travel anywhere within the West Zone using microtransit. If you need to go to a place outside of the zone, that's where it will connect you to a fixed route service or to a MOBY service to then transfer and access the rest of Metro's service area.
So just for clarification purposes, if I said, okay, which this sounds great, actually. If I said, okay, I want to request to be picked up at 16th and Dorcas and taken to the intersection of like 72nd F or something like that, whatever, that essentially is what you're talking about, right?
Correct. Although the downtown area is not covered by a service area, so it would have to be you would have to be within the service area to travel end to end using microtransit. Otherwise, you can transfer between other Metro services to or from MetroFlex.
Okay, so for example, a patient needs to get from a clinic in South Omaha to Bergen Mercy, then because they're within the zone, then they should be able to just pay the $3 fee, get there, and be fine.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yes. And we will be posting a lot more information once we get closer to the launch, so that people have a full understanding of how to utilize the service and how it can complement Metro's existing services. And if you have specific questions, I do encourage you to submit the comment form or reach out to us through email at info@ometro.com, and we can get you more specific or additional information. Okay, the last topic we will cover is UMO. We are on slide 13, slide 1 of 2 for UMO. UMO is Metro's contactless, account-based fare payment system. The UMO system is available for public use on all bus and MOBY paratransit trips. Fares on orbit are only collected with the UMO system. UMO will also be available on MetroFlex. Riders can use an app or a smart card to access the benefits of UMO. The UMO app allows you to pay your fare with your phone. Download the UMO mobility app, set up your account, load money, and scan it when you board. This slide has 2 photos. On the left is a screenshot of the UMO app on a cell phone. On the right is a person holding a cell phone, displaying a QR code next to the UMO reader on a bus. Slide 14, UMO, slide 2 of 2. Instead of an app, you can use a UMO smart card to manage and pay your fares. You can pick up a card at one of our kiosks at most Orbit stations, at the North Omaha West Roads or MCC South Transit Centers, or Metro's offices. When you board, hold your UMO card to the bottom of the reader to scan and pay your fare. You can reload your account online or at a kiosk. You can also reload your account at Metro's offices and select retail vendors. We do recommend you register your card online to keep your funds secure. This slide has 3 photos. On the left is a person holding a UMO smart card next to the UMO reader on a bus. In the middle is a screenshot of the front of the Metro UMO card. On the right is a screenshot of the back of the Metro UMO card. Please visit ometro.com/UMO to learn all about UMO. I will now pause for up to 3 minutes for comments or questions specific to UMO. Okay, seeing no questions. On this slide, this brings us to the end of the presentation. Slide 15 is the contact slide. On this slide, there's an image of a row of buses in a garage and Metro's social media handles. Facebook and Instagram are Metro Transit OMA. YouTube is Metro Transit Omaha. And Metro's website is ometro.com. Thank you for joining us today. The remaining time is open for questions or comments. Please consider submitting an online comment form through the form available at ometro.com/July 2025. So now it is open time for questions of any of the topics that we've covered or other topics people might want to address.
So I'm curious, this is Maida again. I'm curious, what are the next steps with how, I guess 2 questions. One, how will this decision about the changing the time length that the MOBY will wait, how will that decision be made? Is it by the board, like a vote, or how will that decision be made? And what are the next steps of that process? What does that look like? And I guess I do have a comment with those comment/question as well. One more, that if Metro is again looking to match themselves up with comparable regional or other services in the region, other paratransit services, I wonder if they have looked at, if you all have looked at the way, the manner in which these other paratransit companies are, or paratransit services are, notifying people when they're arriving. If you, again, what I said in the beginning of my statement, my original statement was that if Metro wants to make a change about length of time, that they are going to wait, then why are we not concurrently, or why are you all not concurrently making a change in um, in the way we're, how efficiently you're notifying people to that you've arrived, in real time, like rather than saying we're going to make this change now, about the length of time we wait, and then consider sometime in the future maybe making a change to the notification system. Why are those decisions not being made concurrently? And I also agree with Megan. Part of the problem with this is like the expectation that, particularly disabled and elderly people, but anybody will stand or sit outside in all sorts of weather. It's for 30 minutes and then have 5 minutes to maybe miss their bus, if they're not right out there, if they can't find them, they can't see them, or whatever the situation might be, is really, really unreasonable. And like you, I already said that I had tried some of us have tried the reasonable accommodations method that you recommended, and it doesn't work in a lot of situations. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So
Bye.
the next steps would be to get through the rest of the meetings. So we have 4 additional meetings, 2 next week, and 2 the following week. And so once we gather all of the feedback, have time to review it, we will meet with our operations team to kind of review that and then determine more solidly what the next steps would be. We will be consulting with our board of directors. And this isn't something that they would need to take a formal vote on, but we do also want their input and their perspective, along with our transit advisory committee, also getting input from that committee. And so we'll have to wait until we get all of the feedback, and then review and plan for those next steps, and considering feedback such as the possibility of implementing additional measures to enhance the notification of vehicle arrival is something that we will take into consideration.
I have a comment.
Yes.
Hi, this is Terry. I'm a registered nurse with the Visiting Nurse Association. And I work with clients every day, every week that have to use your services. And I do concur with the last comments that were made. 5 minutes is an unreasonable time for somebody with disabilities to get from their apartment to wherever they're picking them up in the parking lot. Also, I wanted to know, what are the national standards? You keep referring to them. So what are the national standards for how people are notified electronically of your arrival?
Yeah, so that would be a great question that we can look further into, of what other comparable transit agencies utilize for a notification system. As far as I'm currently aware, many do use the text-based feature, and the newer software or technology would be having an app or some other form where that real-time arrival information is available. So that is something that we're looking into, but with public procurement, it does take a longer amount of time than perhaps in other industries.
I do
I
want
just
to
had a
also make a
comment.
comment.
Oh, go ahead.
I do want to make a comment here as well, that MOBY is often used by a lot of patients because it is a financially available source to them. And I do see that if they were to go to the hospital, it is difficult for them to navigate, because it's I mean, hospitals are huge, and you don't get, especially with somebody who has a disability, you don't get from point A to point B in 5 minutes if you are dealing with disabilities or whatever it may be. So for 5 minutes, coming out of the hospital and then expecting them to be there available, oftentimes appointments run longer than necessary, or longer than was expected. So I do have great concerns that we will see people not being able to utilize MOBY because it's not, they're not sure they're going to get home that day. So that's one of the biggest concerns I have for the patients I serve in general.
Thank you for that feedback. And one policy that I would like to share is that we do allow for medical appointments a will call option for the return trip. So if there is a less known time that they will be finished with their appointment, they can schedule their trip with the return as a will call. So once they're done with the appointment, then they would call and let us know that they're ready for pickup, and then we would schedule them into the schedule to get picked up. And the 5 minutes.
I had a comment, please.
Yes, go for it.
Oh, thank you. reaching back to the first caller, and I followed that very intensely. I live in a high rise. I'm on the 9th floor. I get the message that MOBY is on the way. I know that ahead of time, since I cannot see when MOBY pulls up. I'm going down there 30 minutes ahead of time. If I would be working, which I'm not anymore, but if I would be working, say my work time ends at 5 o'clock, I call for MOBY at 5:30. So actually I have 30 minutes. If it takes me longer that maybe I got only one arm and one leg, I would have to schedule it an hour past my work hour. So where there is a will, there is a way. MOBY is not a taxi service. I'm very happy with it. I'm all for the 5-minute cut because I have to count that my elevator doesn't take me down. It's an old building. So I take all that in consideration, that I can manage to get down the stairs somehow, maybe, with difficulty, but I make it. But like I said, we are privileged to even have MOBY. So let's move on to do the 5 minutes. It will be doable. I then will call, works out perfectly. Only what you're going to hear, oh, I had to wait an hour and a half for a will call. Well, I'm sorry, but you do get home. So take a book along, take knitting. I support the way it is right now, and we are all adults and lucky. We have a sound mind. Manage it. You cannot get home to your 6 o'clock news probably with a 5 minutes, but plan it in your schedule that you are downstairs, maybe behind the door of where you work. Maybe, I don't know. I don't think you'd be standing out in the pouring rain. There is shelter somewhere, or talk to your employer with the building that the night watchman, he will keep it open until they come. So you probably have to work it out somehow. I think there is a way, but some people try to turn it into a taxi or Uber service, which is, I'm finished. I'm finished. Thank you that I could get that in. We have to manage ourselves. And trust me, I have enough medical issues. And yeah, if I can manage it, I think it's doable. It really is doable. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comment and feedback.
I would just like to say something. I appreciate everybody's perspectives, and I think it's important to give everybody a chance to speak. But I also want to say, speaking just because something works for you doesn't mean it's going to work for everyone. And telling people who are doing the best that they can with their own circumstances, whatever they might be, they're going to all look different, that they're not managing themselves or managing their time or being irresponsible because they have different circumstances than my own. I think that's really something that we need to pause and think about how we're talking to people. This person sounds like they have things figured out, and that's wonderful based on their circumstances. But as telling everyone else, then why can't you do it? And you should be able to do it the same way is very unreasonable. And I find that really disrespectful as well. I'm a social worker by training. I work with people every single day in different circumstances. And I'm also a therapist. And for me to say to somebody as a therapist, oh, you better be able to figure it out if I can figure it out or other people can, is really problematic.
And I have a comment as well. This is Holly. I think Metro should actually look at providing real-time service like Uber and Lyft, that your driver is 5 minutes away, 10 minutes away. And that would give a person a better opportunity to be in front of the building when the MOBY driver does come.
Thank you for your additional comments. We will take that into consideration of how we communicate the vehicle estimated arrival time and actual arrival time as we're considering the next steps forward for the possible policy change. Thank you.
Yes, the lady that went 2 times ago, I have rode with her and she feels the need to tell everybody how to do everything. So she might have it figured out, but some of us aren't just like going to the gym leisurely, where we have a lot more going on, and to consider that taking 4 hours out of my day to travel might be okay with you, but it's not considerate to everybody else's time. I appreciate MOBY, but your trip and your trips are a little bit different than everybody else's. I was also wondering if you guys would consider putting all the scanners, again, for people that can't see, the scanners are in different places on different MOBY buses, especially being in the front seat. That one's kind of hard to access when you can't see well, and you might possibly be almost sitting on somebody's lap sometimes when you are trying to scan your thing. So I didn't know if it would be possible to move all the UMO scanners to like the staircase area so it's consistent.
Yes, thank you for that feedback as well. That is something that we have discussed previously. Each van, or there are different series of vans that have different setups, but we will continue to try to come up with a solution to have the UMO scanners in a more standard space for that accessibility purpose.
And will that thing that's like Uber, will that be a shared ride also, or would that be like a one-on-one?
It will also be a shared ride service.
Okay.
Yep. Great question. And I just want to say that it is important to remember that while we try to have these policies, we do understand that disabilities are very individualized, and that is why we have the application process, so we can assess the applications at the individual level rather than relying on a broad sweeping understanding of a disability, because it is a unique experience. And so wanted to assure that Metro does understand the individuality and that we try to take as many perspectives as possible and then work and make it work for everyone, for all of the public.
Hey, this is Mickey again. Can you, I kind of a follow-up just a little bit ago, what you were talking about with the micro service. Basically, so it'll be, and kind of can you give us an idea of what the sort of the experience will be like? Will it be like riding in a small vehicle? Did I miss something? So will it be, what will that be kind of like when you're?
Yes, that's a great question. The vehicles will be similar. Some of the vehicle models will be a Chrysler Voyager or like a Toyota Sienna. And so it will be that style of van. There will be wheelchair accessible vehicles as part of the fleet. And the expectation is that a person who requests a wheelchair accessible vehicle will have the same or better experience as somebody who does not require a wheelchair accessible vehicle. So they can't be waiting longer or anything like that. So we will be monitoring that very closely. It looks like
will that have a real-time arrival?
It will. If an individual is using the app, or there will also be a customer service number available to either book or to call and check the status of the vehicle.
Could you say what the North Omaha area was one more time?
Yes. The North Omaha area will extend, the southern border is Cumming Street.
Okay.
The northern border will be up to around McKinley Road. Sorry, let me find my notes again. So it'll be up to like kind of the northern portion of I-680 to Cumming Street, and then east to west, it'll be about 9th Street, kind of coming around Carter Lake, and then to 52nd Street.
Okay.
And that map is actually available on our website. And one of my colleagues can drop the link in the chat so that you're welcome to explore that map a little bit more as well.
But you can just travel within that area.
Correct.
Okay.
Alicia,
And
can
how are those areas determined?
Yeah, so when Metro did its strategic planning several years ago, we explored microtransit as a potential future service. So we looked at kind of where some of the service demand has been, or where the requests for service have been, where employers are located, where there's residential populations, and looking at, where some of the gaps are in our service. So this is where we're starting, but like I mentioned, it is a pilot project. So we're going to be looking at a lot of data to see how the service is used, and then potentially be able to change those service areas in the future, depending on how the service is used during the pilot.
Okay, my concern with that is you're going up based on past data in most cases. But if you start off with servicing Omaha as, the entire boundaries of Omaha, you might get a better picture of who will be utilizing the service. If you're limited it to certain sectors, you're not going based on city limits. And that's where I think there should be a focus on determining, how the service operate is based on city limits like Lincoln does. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Yeah, I wonder that too, Holly, because I think about I live in West Omaha, and I think about people that live much further west of me, and even like my own parents, I can't go see them because they live way southwest. And we know, kind of just general knowledge in Omaha, most people are realizing that Omaha is expanding westward a lot. So the fact that the furthest out it is going, excuse me, out west is 144th kind of baffles me. Like I understand there's limitations in just like the feasibility and how many drivers and how many cars you get in the fleet and all of that, but it just doesn't make sense when to not have even a few cars in the fleet go further west when there's so many folks who live significantly further out west, whether it's northwest or southwest. That doesn't make sense to me. The other question I had to Alicia, excuse me, is I wondered if you could speak to why, what is the limitation in the software and the system for the MOBY buses that makes it difficult for them to give us more of a real-time notice of where they're at? Like, why is it not feasible to tell us when they're 1 minute away or 2 minutes away so we can walk outside?
Yeah, so some of that is just the software design, which we don't have control over. We do intend on putting that out for a bid in the future, likely by next year.
Okay.
And so that is something that, we'll be working to get all of the specifications in, being able to, request additional features.
Mhm.
Some of it is a limitation of where the technology development is. It is often a little bit behind in transit. And so we are limited to where, the technology development is for various services. But I think that is something that we know is a great need and that we want to work to improve, to better improve the rider experience for MOBY.
Yeah.
Oops, go ahead.
No, sorry. I just had one more question. So kind of related to this, when I've missed rides because I can't find them, particularly at work, and so then I'll get the no show on my account. I think there's kind of a lack of clarity, and I don't know if you can speak to this policy about MOBY. There's a lack of clarity of like, what are the repercussions of missed rides? Like, how many can you get? Are there any exemptions if something happens like this? Like, part of my frustration is like, it's bad enough or frustrating enough that now I have to figure out another way to get from point A to point B. But on top of that, if I miss it because I can't find them, but on top of that, then there's like this punishment of, oh, you missed your ride. That goes on your record as like, as if you did something bad. And meanwhile, I've been sitting here for 35, 40 minutes, frustrated, like very anxiously looking for this ride or waiting for this ride, not knowing when they're going to show up.
Yeah. So we do have the policy outlined in the MOBY Rider Guide, which we do have available on our website too, as a download as a PDF, if that is helpful, or we can email it to you, or send it to you in a format that works for you. And so it would be, the policy is that within a 30-day calendar period, if there are more than 5 or more no-shows, and those 5 no-shows constitute more than 15% of the total number of trips an individual takes, then that would kind of initiate the violation schedule. So the first level is a letter, just a warning to remind people of the policy, encourage cancellations whenever possible, so that we can, adjust our schedule accordingly. And then from there, it proposes like a 1-day service suspension and then kind of goes up from there.
Sure. Okay.
And those are always, those are rare. But if we do propose a service suspension, though, there is an appeal process as well. But we do not count the no-shows when it is beyond the rider's control. So you can always reach out, either start with customer service or reach out to the MOBY manager to share, what the circumstance was. And then we would consider that. And if it's beyond the rider's control, that's not held against you, because we understand there are things that are out of the rider's control.
Okay. Just so you know, just so you have some heads up that I can only speak for myself. When I have called customer service trying to dispute a no-show, there has been times when they refused to they said, nope, you missed it. Like, so there's been times when they did not care. Again, this goes back to the fact that these jobs for customer service are outsourced to other people in other states, and they don't know what's going on. Even if they can call, there's also been times when they've called, what's it called? Dispatch. And I'm sitting on the phone waiting for them to get a hold of dispatch, and the communication between them and customer service and dispatch is awful. And there's like 15, 20 minutes. I've literally sat on the phone one time for 15, 20 minutes because either they couldn't get a hold of dispatch or they were having trouble communicating back and forth with them. So I just think that that's part of it. This is one of many issues with these customer service agents being outsourced, is that they don't know what's going on, and then they dispute. They don't, quite frankly, sometimes I'm not sure. I'm not going to say what they're thinking or feeling, but it does come across as if they don't care whatever you're dealing with over here. So.
Well, I'm sorry that has been your experience. We are working on a new contract. We have not yet named the vendor, but some of that has been added in to the contract requirements. And so we are working to improve that experience as well for riders.
Okay.
But we will also take what you shared into consideration and use that moving forward. We are at the end of time, but I did want to share, Marquita asked a question and also added a comment. So Marquita said, I think if the software can't give real-time notifications, currently limiting the window to 5 minutes might cause additional challenges. So we will make sure that that is recorded along with the comments. And then Marquita also asked, how long would the wait time be, including the boarding and arrival time? And we do not specify a time for boarding. It is just that 5 minute or that 10, the current 10 minutes is that the driver needs to be able to see the rider making their way to the vehicle. So we don't limit the boarding time. We know that there are lots of variances in the requirements of boarding time. And so we don't want to rush people or make people feel like they need to rush to board.
I was just asking because I know if their arrival time is being shortened 5 minutes, people are also then trying to calculate how much time they have to board to get there and board.
Yes,
Thank
absolutely.
you.
Yes. Thank you all for your comments and questions. I do encourage you to submit additional comments or questions if you would like using the online comment form. You can also send any information to info@ometro.com, and we will add that to the record as well, and we will keep everyone posted with the next steps. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.